Juno was mad, he knew he'd been had, so he shot at the sun with a gun. Shot at the sun with a gun. Shot at his wily one, only friend.
In the gallows or the ghetto, in the town or the meadow, in the billows, even over the sun, every end of a time is another begun. You understand mechanical hands, or the ruler of everything, ruler of everything.
Transformers 1 is a tragically misunderstood story. That is, it's misunderstood by all of YouTube to be a brilliant masterpiece of storytelling. It is not, for a vast sum of reasons. Today I want to take a closer look at Sentinel Prime, the despicable villain we all love to hate. He serves to display the ways that this film chooses to keep its themes surface level. Sentinel is primarily meant to serve as a shocking plot twist. Given that his benevolent characterization in the first half of the story is generally too good to be true, the twist that he's really evil is hardly a surprise. The true Sentinel is shown to be a purely selfish deceiver with no redeeming qualities whatsoever. He murdered his former friends and enslaved generations, all allegedly out of sheer selfishness. The movie goes out of its way to depict Sentinel to be as despicable and unlikable as he can be. While this isn't an unrealistic story, there may be another more interesting narrative here, hidden beneath the oversimplified surface. Imagine a story of a desperate leader trying to save his ravaged world from an unstoppable force of consumption. Sentinel could have been a morally grey antagonist, ruling as best he can and acting irrationally out of desperation to survive. That way, his murder at Megatron's hands would be truly tragic, since the audience would be able to respect and empathize with him. Making Sentinel more relatable creates a nuanced narrative that feels much more realistic and emotionally engaging. Imagine Sentinel telling Megatron that he didn't want to deceive or abuse anyone, and that he only wanted to keep the populace safe. Megatron's refusal to understand the complex reality would make his story truly tragic. He refuses to accept anything but the simplified narrative of injustice in his own head. The film's insistence on Sentinel being a purely irredeemable character displays its unwillingness to tell a layered story. What's worse than that is its oversimplification of social reform. Once Sentinel Prime is killed, all of Cybertron's prejudice and corruption dies with him. The film should have properly established that other characters within the system hold prejudiced views against the minors and laborious. And if Sentinel really does have to be despicable, why does this revelation need to be a surprise? Why not openly display him as a selfish tyrant profiting off the suffering of the labor class? What value does the plot twist serve? Well, I have heard some claim that this twist establishes a theme within the story, that our heroes can disappoint us. Many people can grow up celebrating their society and its leaders, only to be painfully disappointed later in life upon discovering that their heroes are truly selfish and corrupt. And yes, this is valid. I'm sure there are many who had this experience in many different cultures. However, I feel that this message would have perhaps been more relevant a few years ago as opposed to today. Put simply, I feel that most who live in the modern world, especially young people, are well aware of the corrupt nature of human society. Our 24-hour news feeds make it hard to ignore the tragic reality of society's evils, and every year, we are faced with more stories of abusive leaders and celebrities. This is something most can agree on, that the unjust nature of the system is not really a secret anymore. There are certainly some who still have faith in their idols, but I feel that most could relate more to a story that displays how to respond to obvious evil instead of secret evil. I feel that a story about Orion and Megatron grappling with a Cybertron engulfed in clear corruption and inequality, as in previous stories, would be far more relatable and inspiring to most audiences, since it's much closer to the real world we all live in. Megatron and his followers are meant to represent the righteous rage of the abused working class. It's a timeless allegory that any culture can relate to. The rage is supposed to be against the system, not against one individual leader who is responsible for literally everything. Primus forbid there be any systemic evil in society. No, everything would just be fixed immediately if we killed that one irredeemable guy and replaced him with someone charismatic. Surely that will solve everything. Some have objected to the idea that the lower-class Decepticons are depicted as evil, while privileged Autobots are portrayed as heroic. While that is a logical criticism, it misses a crucial perspective. The story is not meant to pit different income brackets against each other, it's meant to pit different philosophies against each other. Ever since the aligned continuity arrived, Optimus and Megatron's rivalry has represented a dichotomy in how we handle society's injustices. Optimus is Martin Luther King, and Megatron is Malcolm X. Hence, Megatron's past as an abused miner and arena fighter would simply serve as a believable motive that inspires him to despise the system. Orion's comfortable life in Iacon would spare him from that vicious bitterness. He has a desire for justice, but not for revenge, since he didn't personally suffer from the unjust caste structure. This is a crucially important distinction. Both characters' personalities are set up by their histories, as any character should be. Take Megatron out of the pit, and he loses his hatred and drive for vengeance. Take Orion out of the capital, and he loses the innocence and morals that he learned there. If you rewrite their history, you lose the core of that character. But Transformers 1 makes this very mistake. Its characters feel flat because they lack backstory to ground their attitudes and actions. Overall, the injustice and abuse on Cybertron is established to be so mild and comical that the audience can't truly care about it. It's sort of insulting to real victims of social injustice to portray it as nothing more than working a low-income job for a rude boss. We never get to witness ordinary citizens showing disdain for the working class. Society's evil stops at Sentinel, and that oversimplification tragically limits the story as a whole. Thus Megatron's whole motivation for becoming a warmonger proves weak, since he and the miners were never suffering all that much to begin with. Beyond that, Starscream and the other Decepticons never suffered at all since they were never forced to become workers. Sentinel's murder loses its tragic weight since he was shown to be a selfish politician who had it coming. The dramatic oversimplification of these ideas takes all the weight out of the film's narrative, and it ends up feeling like a rushed mess of a story that doesn't deserve nearly as much praise as it has received online.